Very many of you guys are familiar with my channel and you watched plenty of my videos, but you may not know that yours truly here holds a WSET Level 2 designation. I obtained mine back in 2022, actually started studying for it in 2021. I got my exam results in the very beginning of 2022. And before that, I obtained my Level 1 designation from WSET as well. So since then, I've shot so many videos about the preparation for WSET exams, sample questions, why I chose WSET, which is Wine and Spirits Education Trust, versus CMS, or Court of Master Sommeliers. So all of those videos are available on my channel, and frankly, they're some of my most viewed videos on this channel, with thousands, sometimes even tens of thousands of views. So please go ahead and check them out if you haven't yet. Those are very helpful. But here's what I've realized is that since I got the Level 2 designation, I haven't actually walked y'all through the preparation of the WSET Level 2 exam. What to expect, what it consists of, no sample questions, nothing like that. I gave you nothing, and I am about to fix that. Hello everyone, and welcome back to my wine diary. If you are new to this channel, then make sure to subscribe if you like this video at the end, and check out my other ones. And if you are my returning subscriber, then I thank you for being here yet again. Preparing for a WSET Level 2 exam requires a couple of things, but I think what it needs mostly is studying, practical tasting, and also understanding of some key wine concepts, I would say. So those three components really will lead you to some great results. And before I move any further in this video, I just wanted to put a quick disclaimer out there that WSET is pronounced as WSET by a couple of people. So if that's what you have heard before, that is correct. So is WSET. I choose WSET for the sake of just preference. So let's find out how to prep for the Level 2 WSET exam now. First and foremost, let's understand the exam structure. WSET Level 2 is a multiple choice exam that consists of 50 multiple choice questions. Pass mark. What do you actually need to get in order to pass? So only 55% or more is enough for you to get a pass for the WSET Level 2 exam. So out of 50 questions, 55%, you guys do a quick math, I think it's 27, 28, something like that, questions that you need to answer correctly in order to get the pass. However, depending on how well you do on your exam, you can either get just a pass, you can get a pass with merit, or pass with distinction. So 55% to 70%, or to 69% to be exact. 55 to 69 is a pass. 70 to 84% is pass with merit. And 85 and higher is pass with distinction. As you can see, they make it pretty easy for you to pass the exam with only 55% or more completion. So what about the study materials? How do we study? So the cost of the WSET Level 2 course that you pay up front includes the study materials. So those are actually considered to be sufficient enough for you in order to pass the exam at the very end. So back in the days when I did my studies, those were physical books, study books, and different materials that they sent to me ahead of time. Then we had some webinars, we had some meetings, we did some tastings together. You do actually have a little kit of wines that gets delivered to you for blind tasting, which is really, really cool. So those materials are included, but are they enough? So arguably, those materials are enough, but if you want something else in order to just kind of, concrete your knowledge and be really prepared for the exam at the end, you can create your own flashcards. So those are very helpful. Online materials also offer some existing flashcards already. So if you don't feel like making your own, you can just Google flashcards for WSET Level 2 exam in Google and see what it spits out at you. But then also online resources. This really is what helped me the most, to be honest with you. By online resources, I really mean YouTube. YouTube and My channel specifically has so many different resources on WSET preparation, whether it's level 1 or level 2 exams. So definitely check out YouTube. It's free. Check out my channel. I have a special folder under my channel that's called WSET. So all of the videos about it are kind of bulked under that folder. So please make sure to check all of them out and see if you find them helpful. But those are the study materials. And after all of that, you should be good to go. Now let's find out what are the key areas of focus for the WSET Level 2 exam. So here we start with wine types and styles. And understanding the characteristics of different types of wines and their styles, you really need to be knowledgeable about sparkling wine, still, fortified. So that's the area that's covered. Then we have the grape varieties. Here we learn about the major grape varieties in the regions where they're grown. So we need to know their typical flavor profiles, their characteristics and such. Of course, WSET Level 2 exam covers wine production. So study of basics of viticulture, which is grape growing if you didn't know, and then vinification, which is wine making. WSET Level 2 also goes over label terminology, which I think is super important. So we need to be familiar with common labeling terms, what they actually indicate about the wine. Now, of course, we can't skip the food and wine pairing. It's critical to understand the principles of food and wine pairing. So the exam and the course go over that. And then it actually kind of touches on spirits and liqueurs a little bit, but very, very slightly, I would say, with just some basic knowledge on some key liqueurs and key spirits, because WSET actually has its own section, its whole branch on spirits. So it's not just wine, it's spirits as well, but it's a complete separate exam. So don't anticipate much from there, but it will definitely be covered just a little bit. So these are the key areas of focus during your level 2. Next, you can expect some tasting practice, which frankly was my favorite part. And of course, there will be some questions that are kind of connected to that area of studies as well. Now, tasting practice here to me was super interesting because WSET uses what they call a systematic approach to tasting, which you will find out what that is. But essentially, it's their own system that they've developed and used to teach people on tasting wines. So level 2 tasting grid is what we use to analyze the appearance, the nose, the palate, and then conclusions of different wines as well. And now just the diversity of wines is something that's also covered in this section of the exam. Different wine regions, wine styles, the differences in the same wine type and wine style, for instance, coming from 2 different regions, so the peculiarities about those. That's all covered under there. So we've studied so much and we've learned so much. We had some fun tasting wines. What do we do next? Because the exam date is coming soon. How else can we prepare? So here I would say that review everything that you've learned before the exam is absolutely critical. So think about any practice exams. You can find those online. I actually think, if I'm not mistaken, please don't take my word for it, but I actually think that WSET, depending on which school you go through, mine was through the Napa Valley Academy, and they offer some of the practice exams as well. So if you feel like you need a practice exam, you can do that. But even if your school, which you use for WSET course, doesn't offer a practice exam, you can find those online as well. But it doesn't stop there. You can practice otherwise. You can find some study groups. You can connect with people who you see in your group actually during wine tastings and just quiz each other and ask each other questions and practice that way. So definitely outsource some extra materials for yourself to practice. Those flashcards can really come in handy here. Even gathering some friends and asking them to ask you a few questions about what you've learned using those flashcards could be fun and a very fun experience for everyone. So try that. So what do we do on the actual day of the exam? This is when the nerves may kick in, you feel a little bit insecure, some butterflies in your stomach, but what do we actually do? So first and foremost, my advice to you is get a good night's rest. beforehand. Make sure that you're rested. Don't drink too much the day before. Just be there. Be fully there. Give it 100%, right? But then some other things that you can do is definitely arriving earlier just to make sure the equipment works. You can log in properly, you have the correct links available, so don't wait until the very last minute. Now, I did go over this in one of my WSET Level 1 exam preparations videos, but WSET takes things pretty seriously, so what they use for their exams recordings is called a proctor exam. At least, like I said, a couple of years ago when I did mine, that's what they use. So the Proctor app is an app that you download on your phone ahead of time before the exam. And you set it on your phone. You have to actually show the room around you being completely empty so they can see that there is no one here helping you out. You show the back of your computer where you're taking the exam. You show every corner of your room. And then you have to set your phone with the app on aside about 10 or 15 feet, I believe, pointing at you so that during the exam you're being filmed and they can see that you're not using anything else to help yourself. So those flashcards, don't bring them with you. Don't bring any notes. Don't bring anything that will be on the table. So try to avoid any of that because they can actually annul your exam if they see anything suspicious. You will also have to show your driver's license in the same app, I believe, and that just to confirm your identity, of course. Now, the screen is being recorded as well, so it's not going to allow you to click out anywhere, so you won't be able to just quickly Google that question to see if you can find the answer real quick. So it's a pretty serious exam, actually. Don't take it lightly. I don't want to scare you because I think you've got this. Honestly, level 2 is not super intense. It's fun and it's a ton of information, but it's very exciting. But definitely take it seriously because if you're planning on just bringing a ton of cheat sheets with you, ton of flashcards and thinking you can just cheat the exam, I don't think that's going to happen. Last but not least, during the exam, please make sure to read questions carefully. It happened to me that I misread a question or I was in rush for no particular reason. I just wanted to finish the exam faster and I actually answered the question wrong because of that. There's no extra points for finishing the exam earlier, so just take your time, be calm. If you need to skip a question and move on to the next one, you can go back to the questions that you haven't answered yet. So some people really like that technique. They just skip the hard ones. They quickly answer all of the easy ones just to get the feel of the whole thing. And then you can always go back to the more difficult ones. Depending on how much time you have left, you can then kind of weigh your options here and see whether you should just guess or maybe you'll remember all of a sudden. So read your questions carefully. I'd say definitely read it at least once, twice, maybe 3 times for sure, just to make sure you understand the question correctly. In order to help you guys even more and kind of collect all of my thoughts when it comes to the WSET Level 2 exam preparation, I put a quick guide together for you divided by weeks, and I wanted to show you what I suggest you do in the weeks to come when prepping for the Level 2 exam. So my suggestion is this. I think that in week 1 to 2, you should definitely read through the entire textbook and the study guide. So study your materials. Focus on understanding the key concepts and all the terminologies as well. And then begin making flashcards for, say, grape varieties, wine regions, or any other flashcards that you need for the areas that are just maybe a little bit more difficult for you to remember. Now, week 3 to 4, so in those 2 weeks, start practicing the systematic approach to tasting. That's the fun part. You get to taste wines, right? But now you do it consciously. Now you actually think when you taste, maybe write things down. Taste a variety of wines and use the tasting grid that WSET provides to you. I still use it to this day. It's very helpful. And then review and memorize key grape varieties and all of those characteristics as well. Week 5 and 6, so we're kind of going on a tail end of our exam preparation here. Take practice exams. Make sure to gauge your understanding, so just see where you're at and ballpark it and see where you're at if you were to take the exam today. Focus on weaker areas that were identified from that practice test. So don't just do the practice test, but actually take something out of it and learn more about the areas that you missed on the practice exam. Maybe join a study group, find another partner to study with. Maybe it's your own partner, maybe it's a friend. Find someone who will help you study. And then last but not least, week 7. So here, just review all of the materials and flashcard. Maybe take another final practice exam. Just memorize a couple of more things. But most importantly, before your exam date, just get some rest and relax. You know, what's meant to be is meant to be. At this point, you've prepared enough, so you're gonna do well. Guys, please remember that the time goes by and the same exam questions that I had back when I was passing my level 1 and level 2 exams aren't gonna be the exact same questions if you were to take the tests right now. So please keep that in mind whenever you take any online resources in order to study for the exam to come. So if you watch my older videos, keep in mind that was a couple of years ago. So some questions may seem a little bit easier because I feel like they're constantly revamping the course and the exam for a reason, right? Because life moves on, technologies arise, right? It makes sense that it gets a little bit more difficult every year. But the concept is there. I think the basics are going to be there for you. Level 1 can be skipped. That's another thing that I go over in my other videos. So if you're interested to watch that, definitely do. But if you're on the fence about going straight to the level 2 exam or to get the level 1 exam first, watch some of my videos. I actually talk a lot about that. You can technically skip level 1 and hop onto the level 2 course and then examination as well. Something to consider, especially if you're a seasoned wine drinker. But I think that these concepts, these steps that I just outlined really will help you to prep for the exam. Most importantly, enjoy it. Enjoy it. We learn so much better when we like what we do. Same with languages, I think. Same with wine. It's just the same thing. We're really passionate about something. If we like something, we just tend to remember it a little bit more. And then practice through tastings. Those are fun. You can do those with family, with friends, with your loved ones. So definitely a very fun exam to take, I will say this. WSET Level 2. I wish you luck if you're preparing for the exam. You guys, if you liked this video, please make sure to give it a thumbs up and subscribe. And until next time, cheers everyone.